Okay, welcome back to another episode of the podcast. Excited to introduce Edwin in a minute. I love when I have people on the show who have bought and sold businesses, and in Edwin's case, I think in totally different, unrelated industries. He's figured out the formula, knows how to do it, is consulting with people on it now. And I think a lot of us are accidental entrepreneurs. We fall in and out of things, and sometimes we're successful, sometimes we're not. But he's figured a way to make it successful multiple times. So we'll get to him in a minute. If you are listening on your favorite directory, please leave us a 5-star review. And if you're watching us on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, like us, so we can keep connecting to great guests like Edwin. So let's get on with today's show. The Accidental Entrepreneur is brought to you with the help of our sponsor, AWeber, the world's leading small business email marketing and automation service provider. Since 1998, AWeber has helped more than 1 million small businesses and entrepreneurs through its suite of web-based email marketing, automation tools, and education. AWeber, the best option when it comes to marketing your business. The podcast is also brought to you by the Alternative Board. Since 1989, the Alternative Board, or TAB, has been one of the leading peer advisory and business coaching organizations for independent business owners and CEOs across the world. By facilitating peer advisory boards, private one-on-one coaching, and strategic planning services, TAB helps business owners improve their businesses in ways that change their lives. And be sure to connect with our affiliate sponsor, GSM Growth Agency. They're boosting e-commerce businesses to 6 and 7 figures in revenue and cover everything from ads and social media influencers to making your website better. GSM All right,
Growth
Edwin, thanks for coming on the show. I know we just met recently, but I told you somehow I had a cancellation this morning, so I'm glad to get you on the show sooner instead of waiting 6-8
all about
weeks.
cool ideas, lasting partnerships, and making
but thanks for coming on.
e-commerce
Appreciate
world.
taking the time.
No,
And
Mitch,
be
thank
sure
you
to
for
support
having
the
me here. You know,
podcast
sometimes
by
things
ordering
happen
some
because
logo
they're meant to
merchandise
happen.
from our
Yeah,
online
exactly.
store.
Right, absolutely.
Listen to
Well,
all
I
of our
mentioned
sponsors
in my opening
commercials
that
later in this
I
episode and
was
follow their
intrigued. I
links
forget
in
how
the
we
show
connected,
notes
maybe
to
through
learn more
Podmatch or
about their
through your
products and
booker or something
services.
like that. And I love it when I meet people that are, doing it and repeating it, and they're not just stuck in one industry because that's all they happen to know. So maybe we want to go back and start with, where you're from. You have a little bit of an accent, right? So you're
Yes.
obviously from somewhere, and how you got here and what you're doing, and how we go, and then we'll follow the path of businesses, what you started and when you were younger and sold them and so forth. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah, that sounds awesome.
Okay,
And
great.
yes, I think my accent got heavier now that I just moved last year from the United States to Colombia, so I'm getting back into my real roots. But I was originally born in Quito, Ecuador. I
Okay.
lived there until I was 12 years old, and I was very fortunate enough that my mom was able to bring me to the United States, the land of the free and the freedom and everything else, which I love that. And being in the United States,
The
I started
dictionary
my first
defines an entrepreneur
really tiny
as a person who
entrepreneurship at
organizes and
14 years
manages
old, washing
any
cars.
enterprise,
Okay.
especially
And
a
I think
business,
a
usually
lot of
with
entrepreneurs
considerable
start
initiative and risk.
businesses based on a
People
need.
often start a
And at
business
that
without
moment,
much
my
choice,
need was
perhaps due to a
that I
job
needed to
loss
make
or
money
just
to
being
buy my first
dissatisfied at
beeper
work,
because
and
I
they
didn't want to
come
be a
up with an
burden to my
idea they
mother,
just know can
who's
be
been a single
successful.
mother with
They
two
become
kids
entrepreneurs by
all her
accident.
life.
Okay.
That is
So
to
that's
say,
where
their
my first
success or failure
little
happens by
entrepreneurship
accident,
started, right?
not
And
And
then
where
from
were you
there
guys?
on,
Were you in? You coming
I
from
was in
somewhere?
My name
Miami,
is Mitch
Florida.
Feinhacker.
Miami.
I'm
Okay.
a corporate
Yes,
attorney
we
and
migrated to
business
Miami,
advisor.
Florida, and that's pretty much where
You're
I lived
listening to the
most
Accidental
of my life.
Entrepreneur, my
From
podcast
there
about how
on,
to achieve
time
success
went
on
on.
purpose,
I
not
started a
by
DJ
accident.
company at 15 years old. I
Join
grew that
me,
DJ
along with our
company.
monthly
I
guests,
was
where
DJing
we share our
in radio
knowledge and
stations,
help you get a
clubs,
hold of your business.
all over
And
Miami,
now
Florida,
onto
all over
today's
Florida. I
episode.
was DJing everywhere, from small events to big events. And I got a nice company, a nice size company, until when I was 19 years old, I got in trouble because we got to
Okay.
talk about the bad things as well, right?
Yeah, of course.
So I got in trouble. I was hanging around with the wrong crowd. And this happens when we do things the wrong way. We start hanging around with people that we think they're our friends, and they just kind of like guiding us through the wrong path. And
Yeah.
at that time, what we were doing is we're trying to steal some rims for a car because at that time we all wanted to have nice rims in the cars.
Right.
And I was very fortunate enough, I'm very blessed that I didn't have the need to steal. But because I was hanging around with the wrong crowd, I was doing that, and I wanted to do that. So while I was trying to steal these rims, I got arrested. And at that
Right.
moment, I'm like, you know what? I need to change my life. To me, that was a wake up call. To me, that was like hitting rock bottom. Uh,
Gotta get back on a better one.
yes. So because of that, I decided to join the military, and that's something I always wanted in my life. Like I always wanted to be in the military, and I went into. I'm like, you know what? If I'm gonna go to military, I wanted to become a jet fighter pilot. And I applied to the Air Force Academy because of my grades. Because at that moment, I didn't care so much about school. I didn't get accepted into the Air Force Academy.
Yeah, that matters, right? It's not just you want to fly planes. You have to be a good student.
Yes, exactly. You have to. I mean, especially if you want to fly jets, right? I didn't want to fly any type of plane. I wanted to fly the fighter jets.
Ones, right?
And unfortunately, that didn't happen. And I'm like, you know what? If I can go, so they told me go to the Air Force. I'm like, no. If I can go to the best of the best, I'm not gonna go to the Air Force. So I decided to join the Marine Corps, which that is like one of the best armed forces in the United States and the world, I will say.
Right.
And not to brag about it, but if anybody else is listening,
now Marines are Semper Fi.
Semper Fi, always faithful. Yes, sir.
Thank you for your service. Before we get that out of the way.
Oh, thank you.
So the Marines are on land. People think of submarines, but submarines are part of the Navy, right?
Yes.
The Marines
were the smallest branch of all services.
Okay.
We're the one that has the less budget of all the services.
Okay.
We're first to fight, the last to leave, and we do everything. We do land, air, and sea.
Okay, so when you see those movies about like Normandy, when they storm the beaches in Normandy, and all those were those all Marines?
Yes, the first one they were the Marines.
Got it. Okay, yeah. So that's okay. So that's a big. You're just saying I'm going to go out in front, be the first guy in there. So that's a big change from the. Okay, so you joined that. Now that was after the DJ company, right?
That was after the DJ company. So I gave my DJ company away, and I went into the Marine Corps, and I had an awesome tour. I tell you that. My 4.5 years that I was in the Marine Corps, I was very blessed. I was able to travel the world. I was able to do what only like the top 10% of the Marines get to do, which is guard the American embassies around the world, get a top secret clearance, be around like foreign dignitaries, get to meet President Bill Clinton. So I had an amazing tour of duty. Like,
stationed at different embassies around the world at different times. They moved you around.
Yes.
Okay.
So I had to open the embassy in Moscow, Russia, which that took 20 years to build because they had to dismantle it and build it back up again. Wow. So it was an amazing time.
Yeah.
After I left the Marine Corps, I wasn't that bind. I was 22 years old, and I was in between that crossroads where, what do I do with my life?
Right.
Do I stay in the military? But being in the guarding the American embassies, that I knew that's something I didn't want to do because I got to see how the Department of State, CIA, FBI, DEA lived, and they had a better job. So I'm like, you know what? I'm thinking about going the federal side, which is going to be a lot better for me.
Okay.
But right before getting out, I asked my mom, I'm like, this is what I'm thinking about doing.
That would be like FBI, CIA, that type of stuff, right?
Okay. And in order for me to do that, I need to go back to school. I need to finish my college degree.
Right.
And then I could go there because you need a college degree to do that.
So you left school to go into the military?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
I did only 2 years, so I needed to finish my other 2 years.
Okay.
So prior to me getting out, my mother goes, "You should become a developer." I'm like, "What is that?" Like I had no idea what a developer was. I thought I was like a developer, like in technology at that moment. She's like, "No, become like a real estate developer. Buy land, build houses, and sell them."
Yeah.
I mean, and the business model seemed very simple, right? Buy land, build a house, sell it. Simple business model.
Steps.
Yes, I'm like, okay, let's go for it.
Right.
I left.
You're 23. You're young. You have no idea. You're like, oh, it sounds easy. Let's do it.
And after I've been 4 years in the Marine Corps, I was used to working like long hours. I didn't care.
You could work with your hands. Probably build a house yourself, right?
Yes. And one of the things, like I knew in my life, I always wanted to be successful. I always wanted to be rich. I wanted to have money because I come from very humble beginnings. Like my family is not wealthy at all. We don't come from money. So I knew that I had to make this happen, right?
Okay.
So leaving the Marine Corps, I start this development company.
Okay.
And in no time, I was able to take that company from negative $100,000 worth of debt to over $20 million in assets and in future projects. And sure enough, things were going great. I was working hard. I was, giving a lot of sweat. And I never say blood and tears because I don't think I cried and I don't think I bled. But I can definitely tell you that I had sweat times. I had to put in the work.
How old were you when you reached that point where you had $20 million assets? It take a couple of years. It take 10 years.
I was 27, 5 years. It took 5 years.
5 years. Okay.
Yes. And one of the things that I always say is like, sometimes people always say that, you have to be at the right place at the right time.
Some
But I
of
think
it's
in
not.
order to take advantage of those opportunities, you have to be the right person at the right place at the right time.
Make your own
And,
luck if you're
and
out
to
there.
me, it
Yeah.
happened because I started real estate development in 2002 when the market was just starting to go up.
Right. Yeah, it wasn't at the peak where it crashed in what, 08 or something like that. It was
Right.
crazy.
And
Yeah,
that's when I
timing's
went
everything.
bankrupt in 2008 when the market crashed. I
Right.
completely lost everything. I went bankrupt. I went to
Oh,
zero.
you did.
Yes.
Okay, like
And I
everyone
had to
else.
start all over again.
Yeah. Okay. So then
I
that would
think,
take you, let's see, 20. So that's like in early 30s at
no, I
that
was
point?
still 28 before I was
Oh, you're
30.
28. Oh, so you grew it to 27 and then within a year lost it.
Yes. Within a year, I was completely bankrupt.
Okay.
Um, and then at that moment is when a lot of us start feeling sorry for ourselves and thinking that we're failures, that we're losers, that we're never going to make it again. Um,
Yeah,
because we had our
self-doubt.
chance. Like to me, I thought like I had my chance and I blew it. Like it's
Yeah.
never going to happen again.
Right, which is not true. But yeah, so you got your opportunities. Now you figured, oh, how many of these could come in a lifetime, right? So
Yes.
I'm screwed. But we know that's not true. So, okay.
Yeah. And it was a huge learning lesson, not only financially, but also a huge learning lesson that it taught me that I put money before my health. I put money before my
Right.
belief, which was
Smart.
God.
A lot of people do that.
And I was focused into the wrong thing
Right.
because I was only wanting to work, and I was working 24/7, and I lost 5 years of my life because I didn't enjoy those 5 years as much as I should have because I
Right.
was so consumed in focusing and becoming successful.
Yeah, and you give up your health and you get compromise your values, and then you end up turning around like, who am I? Right? Like,
Yes,
what did I
exactly.
do for 5 years? Can you lift up the microphone a little bit?
Yes, sir.
There you go. That's a little bit better.
Okay.
Okay. So,
So those
yeah,
things happen. Those
yeah.
things happen, and then at that moment, I turned into personal development,
Okay.
and I went to an event that it completely changed my mindset. It completely changed the way that I thought. It got me out of that victim mentality. And when I came back, my mind was ready to go. I'm like, I got new opportunities, and sure
Right.
enough, within a couple of weeks, a new opportunity comes my way,
Isn't that
and
amazing?
I get into the
That
gold
really
buying
happens in life.
business.
Don't you think that really, like, you change your mindset, you're thinking differently, and all of a sudden these things pop up. They were probably there to begin with, but you didn't see them because of all the stuff that was in your head. Now, what was the program that you went to? Do you remember? Was it like Tony
Yes,
Robbins?
yes, of course. It's the T. Harv Eker program, Secrets of the Millionaire Gold Buyer.
Uh-huh.
I'm sorry, Secrets of the Millionaire Mind. And I went to this program called MMI, um, Millionaire Mindset Intensive. It was a 3-day event. But
Got
at
it.
that moment, like it completely transformed my way of thinking.
Yeah.
And it made me realize that if you make it once, you can always do it again. You just
Always. I
have to
know.
figure out what mistakes you made and
Yeah.
don't make and learn from those mistakes and don't make the same mistakes over again.
Right. Yeah. Sometimes failure is better.
Yes,
You
it
learn
is.
more than if you are successful all the time, just waiting for somebody to hit you over the head.
Oh, definitely, definitely it
Yeah.
is. I
Yeah.
think it's a
Not that you
huge
want to.
learning lesson.
Yeah.
But as you start growing, I think the other biggest lesson is that if you have a mentor, you don't have those big of a failures as you
Yeah.
would on your own. So that means the learning curves get shorter,
Yeah.
and you don't make big mistakes
Big
like
fan of
losing
mentor.
everything. Maybe I would have lost half, but not everything if I would have had the
Yeah,
right
I always
mentor.
tell people, create a little advisory board. Find the 1 or 2 people that are mentors to you that you can ask for advice, and because you'll always make mistakes, but you want to avoid the really big ones, right?
Hmm.
Yeah. Okay, good. So how did you find this person? Who was your guy?
Well, they found me, and like I said, it was you open yourself up to opportunities. Opportunities start coming to you, and
Yeah.
at that time, it was a former friend of mine from the Marine Corps. He's like, Edwin, I got a great business opportunity. Do
Okay.
you have money? Because
No.
he knew back then I had money.
Oh, you
But
did.
after learning what I had in the program, I'm like, number one, I wasn't going to give up on a good business opportunity, and number two, I didn't have money, but I knew where I could find the money.
Right.
So I told him, yeah, what is it? So he told me about the gold buying business,
Gold buying.
and
Okay.
and
Like
I
brick, like bars of gold, that type of gold
uh,
buying?
broken jewelry, scrap jewelry.
Oh, okay.
Think of it
Yeah.
like a pawn shop type of thing, but
Right,
instead
right.
of
They
pawning
melt it
things,
down and you weigh it out. I've seen that. Yeah.
yeah, instead of pawning things, we'll buy stuff.
Right.
So I love the business model. We did a proof of concept. The proof of concept worked, And then sure enough, we had to raise $300,000. In a month, I was able to raise the $300,000 and we got that business started. In 2 years,
Is that
we had
mostly to
14
buy
stores.
inventory, like people that want to get rid of their jewelry and stuff?
Yes.
Okay, and then what do? You melt it down and you sell it some
To the
other way?
refinery. Yeah, we melt it down and we sell it to a refinery.
It's like a scrap metal business for gold.
Yes, exactly. For gold, silver, platinum, for all types of metals.
Okay, you did it all.
And it was a great business because this happened in 2008. We were in a recession, a huge recession.
Yeah.
People needed money. So we were there solving a problem for people. We were solving, giving people money for things that they no longer wanted or needed.
Yeah, wasn't the cost of scrap up at that point? I think it was pretty high.
It went up a lot. It went up.
So did you have a scrap metal yard, or were you just buying like jewelry, or?
No, so what we did is we opened up really nice high-end stores in the middle to upper class malls.
Got it.
And we changed the whole, because pawn shops were looked upon really bad because they treat you bad. People don't want to go in there.
Right, exactly. You need a gun inside because somebody come and try and rob the place.
Yes.
You decided this is kind of a retail operation, right? You said, let's go
exactly what we did.
And do it in nice places.
Yeah, so we did we modeled the mayor's model, the way they look when you come into the store. It looks beautiful. You have a person in a suit taking care of you, and everything is in the open, no glass in between. We'll teach the clients how we test the gold, how we buy the gold. It was very transparent, and I think that was one of the keys to success: transparency and authenticity.
Right.
And in no time, we had 14 stores throughout the United States. We created a franchise model. I was able to exit that company in 2014.
Okay, but that's pretty good, right? The startup costs aren't much. Besides the inventory, you're not doing crazy things to the store besides making it look nice. It wasn't even any special equipment, or you got to fit it up as a restaurant or anything like that. So that's a good model. So you had 14 stores before you franchised, right?
Before we franchised, yes.
And then how many franchise locations did you have?
I think we ended up selling 7 franchise locations throughout our time.
And then you sold the whole company?
And then we sold the whole company in 2014.
Okay, because you wanted to get out, or you just got an offer you couldn't refuse, or?
It was both. The market was shifting, so it was time to exit.
Right.
And again, another learning lesson there is like, a lot of entrepreneurs think because their business is making money that they need to hug the business. And I got a nice offer in 2010, and I didn't sell that business, and it was a great offer.
Yeah.
But I said, you know what? You're offering me this. In a year, I can make this or more.
Right.
What I didn't know was that the market always shifted in all types of businesses. There's always a shift in the market.
Of course, you got to watch those shifts.
When the market shifted, I was able to still sell the company, but I didn't get paid what I was offered before. But it was a great exit.
Many guys I've worked with who have had opportunities to sell their company, passed it up because they said, well, if this guy's willing to pay us $10 million, I'm sure if we grow the business, we could sell for 15 or 20 million, and then either went under or had to sell it for like 3 million later on because it didn't happen when they didn't jump on the opportunity. So, sometimes you got to.
So that's pretty much us. We got offered 10 million. We're able to sell it for 3 million, and
instead of
things
10.
happen. But it was still a great exit. I was able to retire at 31 for the first time in my life.
Now, that was the first exit that you had? That was the first business?
That was my first exit. And I learned a lot from that exit. I learned a lot. I learned how to value companies. I learned how to set the companies up for sale. What do they need to have? How to set the books. I learned so much through that process because I had
you knew now how to start a business with the intent to at some point selling. A lot of business owners, I think they wait till they're like 60 and they're like, I want to sell my business. And they have been running their business into the ground to make, so they don't pay taxes, basically.
Yes.
Their books and records look terrible.
Yes.
So it's difficult. Yeah.
So from there on, went back into real estate development because that's something I was very passionate about. We grew that company really fast with my former business partner. We got it again into in less than a year. We had projections over $20 million again of sales. We started doing a lot of high-end luxury single family homes, and things
you weren't building a portfolio. You weren't managing properties, renting anything out. You were buying them, developing them, selling them.
Yes, buy, develop, and sell. Buy, develop, and sell. And it's a great business model because I've been doing that for 22 years now. Mm-hmm. And in that business model, the one thing that I realized, as you start growing older and you're becoming wiser, you start realizing that if your business partners are not aligned with your values, with your beliefs, then, it's kind of time to step away. So that's when I had my second exit that I was able to exit because we did have a great agreement prior to us starting the partnership. I was able to exit, and I retired for the second time in my life. 2 years later, by the time I was 32 years old, I was
do it without a lot of argument or anything. I write about it a lot. A lot of problems that business owners don't have an agreement, everything in writing. You want out, and he's like, okay, fine, then just leave. And you're like, what are you talking about? I want you to buy me out. So that was it hard to do or not really?
No, for us, it was great because since the beginning, we had a good attorney that created the right exit strategy for us. That we knew that since the beginning that the point was to grow this business and sell it because we already had an exit. So our initial goal was always to sell the company eventually. So we had strategic numbers because I knew everybody was at a different financial level of if I put money in, this is what is going to count. This is how it's going to work. If I want to leave or I want to buy you out, this is what is going to work. So it was very strategic since the beginning.
Right.
And that led to a smooth exit. The payment wasn't as smooth, but the payment came the way it was supposed to be eventually at the end. It took a little bit longer for me to get paid, but at the end of the day, I got paid what I was supposed to get paid. And it was a very nice exit. I was super happy for that.
Do you think you were just lucky that you got advice at the beginning that said, hey, if you're going to do this, you got to make sure you have everything in writing, very clear for everybody, because a lot of people don't do that. And they jump into business. They're all excited. They're building houses, making money. Something happens between the partners and they had a fight or something. They got nothing in writing. So were you just lucky that you found the right attorney or was that something you thought of?
No, it wasn't luck. It was strategic since the beginning. We knew that because we were entering into this new thing and I learned from previous experiences that this is what I had to do now. So I make sure that I was diligent enough with that, of doing that.
Okay. Yeah.
So from there on, I went ahead, I was off for like 6 months and I was able to purchase a transportation company. So that's how I got into the transportation business.
Never been in it before, right?
It's not that I never did it before. And it's funny because when I talk about this story, I get goosebumps a lot of the times because sometimes there's things that we tell ourselves in our lives that we don't want. But I always say God has a plan for us.
Yeah,
right?
probably.
And to me, what happened was when I was in the military, the first year that I went in open contract. I didn't have a job. I didn't know what I was going to do. And sure enough, the military picked me to be a truck driver. And I started driving Humvees. And because I graduated first of my class, they took me out of there and they put me in the bigger trucks. And after that, I complained that I didn't want to be that I had better things in my life, bigger vision for me in my life. They took me out of there and they put me in the logistics office. And I was the logistic coordinator for the whole island of Japan. Like anything that had to do with logistics, I was handling that.
Military, anything coming in, going out, you were handling.
Yes. And imagine that 20 years later, I never thought I was going to run into and buy a transportation company.
You had the skills to do it. Now, when you go to the military, you can choose what you're going to do. Like sometimes you can choose or sometimes you say, I don't know.
Yeah. A lot of times prior to going in, you could choose what you want to do. You take the test and they go based on your skills and there's a bunch of jobs and you could say, I want this job, and you get to pick 3 choices and then from those 3, they'll assign you one. To me, I went open contract. I didn't know, like they could have given me to be a cook.
Right.
And I hate cooking too. So imagine that.
All right. But 20 years before, you now started to learn about logistics and shipping and all that type of stuff.
Right.
Okay.
So when I went into the business, like at that moment it hit me, it's like, wow, God has a plan. Sometimes there's things that we don't want in our lives and they're happening to us because we're going to need them along, down the road.
Right. You wouldn't have probably looked at this company to buy. You bought a company or you started the company?
I bought a company.
So you might have not even looked at it if you hadn't had the experience in the military, right?
Exactly. And if I didn't have the experience of buying and selling companies, and I realized that it's always better to buy a company, established company, than to start a company because that company was already 4 years old. He went through the hard times, up, downs, and I kind of got the business model really honed in. He just needed somebody like me to be able to scale that company. And sure enough, we were able to scale that company from 8 trucks to 40 trucks in just 2 years.
And did you work in any particular industry or, in terms of the transportation and the shipping, or was it all over the board?
No, we specialize in refrigerator goods.
Oh, okay.
The northeast of the United States.
So the trucks had to be refrigeration trucks or you were just shipping
the trailers. Yeah, the trailers had to be refrigerated trailers, so we own refrigerated trailers, and that's when I moved to New Jersey. Like when I told you that I used to live in
Yeah.
New Jersey, that's when I transitioned. When I bought that company, I had to move to New Jersey for a couple of years to be able to help the company grow.
Oh, the company was in New Jersey.
The company was in New Jersey, yes.
Okay. And what were the challenges there? Like you came in and you picked this company. I guess I don't know how you found it, maybe through a broker or something. And what made you attracted to the company? Like what did you think?
Number one was the business model. I love the business model. Coming
Okay.
from real estate, coming from the real estate development, it's a cash heavy business. And then it's not a cash flow business. It's a cash heavy business. You put a lot of money in, and then a year, 2 years later, you see a huge paycheck. In the
Got
transportation industry, what I love is that you buy a truck today, you put it on the road tomorrow, a
Right.
week later, you're getting paid. So it's constantly, you're getting cash flow constant. You get
It's on
paid
the road
every
and you
single
got
day.
job all the time. It's cash all the time.
Yes. So that's a good thing about the business. When I
Yeah.
got into this business, I saw quite a few things that I'm not used to, and I like that part because number one, I saw that it didn't have any technology in the company, so there was no technology in the company.
At that
It
time.
didn't have a structure,
Right.
and it was like I said, the business owner was running the business, meaning that if at that moment that business owner passed away,
You're
that
in
business
trouble.
would have crumbled. So I had to go in there and implement technology, systems, processes, and make sure I have redundancy. So like that, if something were to happen to my business partner and I, the business continues running and taking care of our
Right.
families.
Right. So you could track where everything was. I mean, he
Yes.
couldn't do that, right? If you had a refrigeration truck and it breaks down, you got to be able to get another truck out there or a part right away, or you're going to lose goods, right? They're going to,
Exactly.
yeah.
So the way it used to be before, I'm like, so where's truck number 20? I was like, oh, he
I
left
think,
New Jersey like around 5, and he was supposed to go to New York. And it's 7. He should be getting there within the next hour. He should be by like Albany right now. Like he knew everything off the top of his
yes.
head.
It was all in his head. Yeah.
Yes. How
Yeah.
much do we need to get paid this week? I'm like, okay, we did 20 runs. We should be getting paid like 100, 110, 120, something like that. I'm like, no, we need to know like good numbers, like
Right.
exact numbers. Like it doesn't work this way.
How long had this guy been in business?
He was in business like 6 years. So he failed. He burned to the ground 2 companies, and then the third one was the one that became successful. That he already had 8 trucks.
So it wasn't like so old that they didn't have technology when he
No.
started the company. He just didn't. It wasn't.
It just
failure.
remember. I always said there's a lot of people that are technology handicapped, and
Yeah,
he
very
was one of them that was against technology. He didn't like technology, but the
Yeah.
thing is because he didn't know. I think he was afraid of it because once
Right.
they started implementing all these things into the company, then he's like one day, for example, we had the GPSs on the trucks, and he will always be looking at it. He'll be always be on his phone. Oh, this the truck is, and then one day like the GPS
Exactly where
didn't work. He's like, Edwin, the
Right.
GPS, where are the trucks? The GPS is not working. I'm like, I thought you didn't need that. He's like,
Right.
no, we need it. We need it.
Yeah, because you realized what the advantage of it was.
Yes.
Okay, so you when you came into the company, you bought into the company. You didn't buy the company. You
No, I
bought
bought into the company. Yes.
into the company. Okay, so what percentage of the company did you buy at that point? Half?
We got 50%.
Okay, fine. So he brought in a white knight, let's call you, right? To bring in money and expertise, right? To work, and you started working in the business, right? Okay. All right. So that was at what? How old are you at that point?
I was in 2017.
Okay.
And I think I was like 37, 38, something like that. I'm 45 now, so I really don't remember exactly.
Yeah, that's
how
about
old.
right. Yeah, that's about right.
Yeah.
Okay, so so tell me about that. So how long did you run the business? How long did it take to scale the business up to the point at which you wanted to get out? He wanted to exit too, or you were just going to be the only one
Yeah,
today?
our plan was always to exit. So we scaled the company in 2 years. We got it to
Okay.
40 trucks.
Okay.
So we got it to 40 trucks. So we 5x the revenues right
Okay.
away.
Yeah.
And we got into the Inc. 5000s as one of the 5,000 fastest growing companies in the United States. We were like 100, number 200 and something in the transportation industry side.
Right.
So it was very nice growth. And then all of a sudden, COVID came around. The market completely shifted. The government was giving out millions of dollars, and everybody got into the transportation industry because they saw
Right.
what a nice industry was.
Right.
The good thing for us, because the way that I was ran the business, the way that my prior experience in development where I went bankrupt, I make sure that we're never over leveraged. We're able to sustain that company. And now the company keeps moving. It's a constant cash flow business. And I learned to be able to understand what each business means to me. So, for example, my transportation company nowadays is my cash flow business, is the business that gives me my constant cash flow.
You still own the company?
We still own the company, yes.
Got it.
My real estate development company is my wealth creation business. That's the company that continues creating my wealth.
Right.
And my business and consulting business, my mentoring company, is my legacy business where I'm able to teach entrepreneurs and build entrepreneurs and help them scale their companies and help them sell their companies so they're able to have and live life to the fullest, like I call it.
Got it. So that's like 3 legs to your stool right now. You got the development company, you got the transportation company, you got the consulting business, right?
Yes.
Okay. So why don't we do this? Let's take a quick break for some commercials, those sponsors I mentioned at the beginning. And then let's come back and talk about the fundamentals of, growing a business and exiting and all the things that you teach without, I don't want to give the farm away, but the basics of, the mistakes that people make and the things that they should know that work in any business. Doesn't really matter what the business is. Can we do that?
Yep. Let's do it.
Okay. Let's take a commercial. All right, Edwin. So we are back. That was a good time to take a break, actually. So before we get into the things you're consulting about and coaching about and the fundamentals, are there any other businesses that you're looking at that you might buy in the future, or just sticking with what you got for now?
To hit the ground
Oh, no. There's always
the best choice.
there's always quite a few on the pipeline. And one of the biggest things that I do and I love to do,
maintaining a subscriber list
because I believe so heavily into what I teach, I always make a guarantee that I invest into the people that I mentor. Because to me, I think there's only 2 places where you're going to get a great return on investment. It's real estate and entrepreneurs. So if I'm able to build a solid entrepreneur with a good foundation,
years, the Alternative Board, or TAB, has built a thriving community of
when you do real estate,
CEOs and business owners
who
want to
raise money,
improve
bring
their
other people
companies
into the deals, or
through
really
unique
just
combinations of one-on-one business coaching,
nowadays,
participation in
90% is
monthly
just my
TAB
wife
board
and I.
meetings with other non-competing
But
owners. a suite of strategic tools and customized strategic planning workshops. Tab membership can deliver greater strength to your business and a better work-life balance for you and your family. All packaged in a streamlined and affordable service that the people at Tab invite you to try risk-free.
Right? And that's a
Are you
tough
struggling with managing advertising due to a lack of time or expertise?
It's not going to be a bidding war.
Perhaps you're facing challenges in scaling
No,
ads for your
but in the
store.
market that we're in the
Are
area
you
that
feeling
we're in,
lost when
that's
strategies
like
have
the
no
norm.
success?
So it's
Right.
nothing, it's nothing like
GSM Growth
outrageous. Like
Agency
pretty much
is your
is like
reliable
just
partner
another
in
$12 million
overcoming these
house.
business challenges.
Right, exactly. So you're doing some
Feel
really
the
high
impact
end
of
stuff.
collaborating with a team
Yes.
dedicated not
houses
only to
like that are
short-term
just
goals,
ridiculous.
but also to building long-term partnerships and achieving
Unbelievable.
sustained
Okay,
success.
so let's get into then
Embark on
the
an
things that
exciting
you're
journey
teaching
to redefine the possibilities of
entrepreneurs
e-commerce
from your
and
experience,
create a
from what you
legacy of
learned, the
unparalleled
formula you've
excellence.
put together that works.
Take decisive action now. Follow
I
their
think I
link in
read
the
on
show
your
notes
thing
to
you have
receive
like
a
5
complimentary audit of your
things to know
Shopify
or,
store
I don't know, something
conducted
in
by a
your bio.
GSM expert.
So
Propel your e-commerce
you take
game
it away.
to new
Tell me
heights
what
with GSM
you know
Growth
what these
Agency.
people should know to increase their.
Follow
Not going
the
to
link
guarantee
in
they're
the show
successful,
notes
right?
to
But
learn
increase
more
their
about
chances
all
of
of
being
our
successful.
sponsors. And now back to
Yes,
our show.
and I think to kind of guarantee the success, the first one that I always tell people is that you have to believe in yourself.
Okay.
And especially if you believe in God so much like I do, like one of the things that I learned is that God created us as his equal image, right? So we have that huge belief in God, into Buddha, into Jehovah, into the universe, whatever you call it, right? If
Right.
we believe on that, then we have to also believe in ourselves because we're made the best version of that. And the
Right.
moment that we start believing in ourselves, that's the moment that we start creating the life that by design, the life that we want.
Right.
And a lot of times it happens that we don't have the life that we want is because we put ourselves those negative beliefs in our mind that we were raised with sometimes
Yeah.
to putting those limitations as to why we can achieve certain things. But the
Yeah.
moment we get rid of those, and to me, really, I think every time when I think back in my life,
Yeah.
one of the biggest things I could say from the military that I take away is that in the military, as a Marine, they make you think that you're the biggest, the best, the most badass.
Right.
And that's what we make fun of the other military branches because
Right.
we are the best.
Yeah.
So the moment you have like that belief that because I'm a Marine, I'm the hottest shit in town, and I'm excuse the language.
No,
then
but it gives you your mindset.
then there's no chance that I'm not gonna be the same person when I leave the military and be able to accomplish things because we were bred for that. We're
Right.
brainwashed for that to be
Right.
the
Well,
best.
if you're the guys in the front line, I want you to be no question that you think you're the best. That's not who you send. You don't send in the guy who thinks, well, maybe I'm 10th, maybe I'm okay. You're going to send him into war. Forget about it. You got to have the guys who are, all in and they believe unequivocally that they are the best out there. And yeah, no, look, military training is good. But I think, it's funny. It sounds like when you say that, you got to believe in yourself. Like everyone's like, of course. But I think people don't realize the negative energy that they put out into the world when they have all these limiting beliefs and they're afraid of things and they're like, I don't want to take that risk or whatever. And they don't realize that they're attracting the negative stuff is what's really happening. They're bringing it to them and they're trying to keep it away because they're worrying and it's just not, it doesn't work. They got to do the other way, like you said.
Exactly. And one of the things that you said now that I like that I always tell people is like, you said they're afraid. And fear is just, something that we have in our minds of something unknown. But if you really put it together, there's always a synonym and an antonym to something, right? So to me, fear, the opposite of fear is excitement. So you're going to have the same outcome, but you choose whether you want to go through fear or through excitement. So let's talk about when we talk about going through a roller coaster, right?
Right.
I could get on a roller coaster and be afraid and not enjoy the ride and think it's the worst thing that could ever happen to me. But then you have the guy sitting next to me, which he had a blast. He had the best time of his life. And we both experienced the same ride. We both did the same thing.
Ended up in the same place.
Right. So that's the thing with life is that we have to choose whenever we're afraid of something. And I tell my kids all the time, you either choose fear or excitement. Because at the end of the day, that's it. You're still going to do it. So either you choose to have fun and enjoy this, or you choose to have fear and you hate it. But at the end of the day, the outcome is going to be the same for both of you.
Right. I think people don't, that's one of the problems is that when you're paralyzed by fear, they don't realize that it's a choice.
Yes.
Nobody's making you feel that way. You might not think that, but really it's you that's making you feel that way over these limiting beliefs or worry or whatever. And if you just go with it a little bit and enjoy yourself and really soak in the moment, you get much better results. Obviously, you've seen that in your life.
Yes.
Do you find that hard when you're working with somebody to get them to accept that? Or they're like, oh, sure, Edwin, no problem.
At the beginning, yes, but we have to figure out where that comes from, right? So it's a lot of mentality work. It's a lot of mindset work because we have to go back and figure out how were we raised? What were our beginnings? Where do we come from? What do we face when we were young? Because nowadays, everybody's struggles is different. So sometimes you might look, if you look at a kid that is 20, 30 years old nowadays, and they tell you their struggles, you're going to laugh at them because I'm sure you went through a lot of crazy stuff in your time.
Of course, we have more doing it longer.
Right, because we're older. But, and it's funny because you listen to their struggles and to you it's like, oh my God, that's it? Like,
exactly.
But, we still have to validate because
perspective.
That's their struggles.
Right.
So, how do we validate that? Making them understand and making them know that because it's their struggle, that has to be their strength. And to use that as a fuel for them to be able to continue moving forward because they were able to survive that struggle. They were able to overcome those hard times in their life.
Yeah. Yeah. I think some of it is perspective and some of it is self-realization, like realizing that what's happening to you now at 23 is not really that bad. You just think it is because you haven't had the life experience. So if somebody, like you said, that's why I love mentors and things, can say to you, hey, listen, I'm here. I'm 55. You'll get there. This stuff is not going to keep you down. And I think that's, if you're lucky enough to find the right people, and I have been too, who can mentor you and keep that perspective, then you got to fight.
Think everything is always relative as well.
Right.
Like I was talking to a good friend of mine the other day, and he was stressing. He's like, man, because I lost $200,000 last year. I'm like, man, don't worry. I lost over $20 million and I'm still here. And now I'm okay. So it's like, wow, you lost them? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, oh, then $200,000 doesn't seem as much. I'm like, you see, it's all relative. So, it's okay. That's your learning lesson. That's what you pay to learn. Like I had to pay $20 million to be able to learn a very expensive lesson of, that it's okay to lose. It's always good to stay humble. Take care of yourself first. Don't put money first. Have a balance in life. Like, that lesson cost me $20 million.
Yeah. So you were cheap for him to work with you, right? Because you're not charging him 20 million.
Exactly.
Exactly. Well, I think that you're right. Everything's right. Look, I've been in situations where a client says, I had a mortgage payment due next month. I got to make it. And if I'm, 10 days late, what am I going to do? It's going to ruin my whole credit. And I'm like, listen, I have clients that have faced foreclosure, hadn't paid their mortgage in 9 months, 2 years. You don't, 10 days is not going to, everything's, and they're just freaking out. And I go, that's what business is cash flow and doing different kinds of things. But a lot of it's experience. So how many people are you working with right now on the consulting side?
Well, this year I already finished my cycle last year. So at this moment, I'm not working with anybody. I'm starting the year. So normally I start my year like around April timeframe, and I create my inner circle in June timeframe. I'm going to have a nice retreat in Colombia. It's going to be an amazing retreat. It's going to be a 3-day retreat in May. So I'm getting ready for that. Normally I do it in Miami on my yacht, but this time I want to do it in Colombia because I'm living in Colombia. And I'm focusing, since I always focus into entrepreneurs that want to go from 6 figures to 7 figures. But this time, because it's an event in Colombia, I'm bringing in a lot of couples, husband and wife, because, to me, my wife, she's my biggest supporter. So as an entrepreneur, we need that support system. We need our wives to understand what do we go through. And the moment that they understand that, then it becomes more cohesive for us to be able to continue doing as entrepreneurs the crazy things that we love to do, right?
Right. So this is not necessarily couples that are in business together.
No.
The wife may not be in the business, but they're coming. It's like a therapy weekend, kind of.
Yes.
Right. Find yourself. So you run like a year cycle. Like you bring on a team, you accept certain people you'll work with, then you work with them for about 12 months, and then you kind of take a little bit of a break and then start the next group.
Yes.
Kind of how you do it.
That's how I do it. Yes.
Do people stay involved with you? Do they keep in
Oh
contact
yes,
with you?
a lot of times I become business partners with them. A lot of times we build the relationships, and that's one of the things that I like, because I'm selective with the people that I work with.
Right.
I end up building those relationships because those are the relationships that we foster. That down the road, I either become one of their investors or they become one of my investors,
Right.
and I love that part of having that relationship with people.
So, okay, so then it's not just that they're coming and signing up for your program, you're kind of interviewing them too. So how do you find these people? The people that you want to really work with?
To me, is number one of the things that I realize is that I only want to work people that share my values and my beliefs.
That helps,
And I
yeah.
think the moment that you start segregating, you start becoming really like, um, what's it called? What's the word that I use a lot of the times? Um, just really close with that, hone in with the people that you really want to work with. You
Yeah.
start attracting good people. You start attracting the people that you really want to work with. Um, and when I talk about having values, is that not everybody has the same values. Some people are going to do whatever it takes, give away their kidney for money, and I don't
Right.
want to work with those people. I want people that they're going to stand up to their values, to their beliefs, and they just don't know, they don't understand how to get to the next level. It's not that they're not making money, but it's that they don't know how to break through that ceiling. Because I think we all get to a point in our lives that we get stuck in a ceiling. So how
Yeah.
do we get past that ceiling? And it's learning how do we get past that ceiling and moving on to the next phase in our lives.
So were they referred from former customers or business
From
partners?
former customers, current customers, people that follow me through social media, people that see the lifestyle that I have, people that see the things that I do. Because that's one of the things that I always tell people when they ask me, how do you find a good mentor? It's like, you
Right.
know, find somebody who you want to become like, and
Yeah, that's true.
and then tell that person to mentor you. I mean, it's simple as that.
Yeah. Have you met people and you're like, nah, I don't think they really fit my model. They're not
I
really my
have, I
profile. So
have.
how do you let them down and tell them, yeah, I'd love to make your life wonderful, but not today. How do you do that?
Yes, because it's not about the money, and thank God I'm blessed, and I have my other sources of income, and this one, like I said, this one is a legacy business for me. It's about building entrepreneurs, creating the right entrepreneurs with the right values, with the right mindset, and I hate it when I hear some other coaches or mentors saying that there's no such a thing as life work balance. Um, and there is, you can't have a life work balance because it doesn't do you any good to be the most successful entrepreneur and be the worst father, or have a whole horrible marriage. So
Right.
you have to give and take, and that's why, like, for example, I'm not going for a company that is worth $100 million, because after a few $1 million, then you could buy anything you want. What else do you want? So
Right.
it becomes more important. Are you healthy?
Yeah.
Do you have financial freedom? Because sometimes some people that I know, they're running $100 million companies, but they're so stressed, they don't have time for themselves, they don't have a good relationship with their wife, they don't spend time with their kids, and the moment that they stop working, they're going to lose everything. So to me, I'm like, no, I don't like
Yeah.
to work. I want to be fit, I want to be healthy, I want to spend time with my kids, I want to spend time with my wife, but also at the same time, I want to be able to run my businesses and be able to have enough money to be able to do the things that I want to do in my life.
Yeah. Well, I mean, why else do you do it all? Right. I mean, because I've known some guys over the years, very successful financially in business, but they developed health problems because they didn't take care of themselves and they worked so hard, and they would have traded it all just to have their health back and be able to be. And some of them died young,
Yes.
because they just didn't take care of themselves. And I don't think, like, then why are we doing all this stuff? Like, if you're going to ruin your marriage and you're going to, you're going to run your health into the ground and not see your kids because you're working, then what's the point? Then go get a job at a company, and then you could be home every night at 5 o'clock and maybe work from home 2 days a week and not, not kill yourself. Because what's the point? That's not that exciting to be an entrepreneur, to give up everything in life, because then you can't
Exactly.
enjoy any of it, right? I mean, so do you keep your yacht in Miami still?
Yes, my yacht is in Miami at this moment.
So you can't use it when you're in
I
Colombia.
can't use it in Colombia. So I would say that's the only thing that I really miss from the United States.
Yeah.
The yacht and the cars, because being in Colombia, you kind of
Yeah.
have to keep like a low profile and just kind of like stay humble, which is one of the things that I love, because it keeps you humble, it keeps you grounded into knowing what's really important.
Right. Well, why did you go back to Colombia?
Well, I'm from Ecuador, so I didn't go back to Colombia,
Oh,
but we
that's right. You
decided to
said
move to Colombia
okay.
because we wanted to give that heritage to my kids, to understand that they are Hispanic as well, to be able to speak the language the right way,
Right.
and to have in the United States, everybody's so focused and so consuming to work, work, work,
Yep. That's how
that
we do it. It's
family
terrible.
lifestyle has kind of like gone away. In Colombia, you still have that nice family lifestyle. Like, for example, in my community, we go walk the dogs every single day, and it takes us like 2 hours to walk the dog, because the moment we leave our house, we're already talking to the neighbor down the street, and we end up talking for 30 minutes, go in their house, have some coffee, and then we say bye and we go to the next block, and then we see another neighbor and we talk for another 30-40 minutes, and the kids are playing on the streets like the way that I grew up, like be out on the street, play all day, have fun. And that's the life that they're living. And I wanted to give that to my kids, the life that I lived when I was young, that I was able to be outside on the streets, play all day, have fun with kids, no worry about anything, no electronics, and just kind of build that in with them, those memories, those experiences. Because I think one of the only things that we could give our kids is memories and good education, and those
Yeah.
two things nobody's going to ever take care of them, ever take
Right.
away from them.
Yeah. The rest of it just stuff.
Yes.
So I think you're right. I think in this country we live to work, and in other countries they work to live. And that's one of the problems. We don't have siesta. We don't have, a 2-hour break in the afternoon. We all just keep working until now it's worse, I think, with pandemic. You literally work from home. You could work till 8, 9 o'clock at night. You can go pick your kids up, school, come back. And Edwin, you're like, hey, Mitch, can we jump on a call at 8 o'clock tonight? And you're like, oh, okay. And we get caught up. Now, why did you choose Colombia? You were from Ecuador. You could have gone a lot of places in South America, right? Or Central America. Why did you choose Colombia?
The reason we chose Colombia is because my wife's family is from Colombia.
Oh, good answer. Yeah.
So we just kind of decided to come here because my wife's mother lives in Cali, and her brother moved from the United States to Cali as well, and then she has some cousins here. So we thought, we'll have some family, and we'll just come here and spend some time with family. But at the same time,
that makes sense.
We have met some amazing people. We're building some great relationships, and we're enjoying the time. I mean, with the views are amazing. Miami is beautiful as well, but it's all flat. Here, it's like Colorado. I have the mountains, but I have the heat of Miami. So I have the best of both worlds. And we took out a lot of biking nowadays. So we go biking all the time and enjoying the scenery. It's beautiful.
Yeah. So are your businesses, though, in the States? So the real estate development company is in the States, and transportation company obviously is in the States.
Yes.
And you do most of your consulting remotely like this, right?
Yes.
Got it. So how are you able to manage your businesses from Colombia? You have people who are handling it now?
That's part of scaling. That's part of scaling a company is learning how to delegate, learning how to have the right people in the right places and the right seats. It's learning how to create a redundancy. It's knowing what you want. So, and that's part of all the things that I teach entrepreneurs. So they're able to step away and wearing all the hats, like a lot of entrepreneurs love to do. It's like, okay, stop wearing all those hats. Put people to do the things that you don't like to do, and you do what you love to do, what you're good at.
Right. Yeah. I think it's the E-myth, right? I mean, you can't, if you work for the company, you do everything, and you're really just an employee who owns the company. You're not an entrepreneur where you can work on your business. You're just working in it all the time.
Yes. And people don't see it that way. People don't understand that. They're like, no, but I'm making $200,000 a year. I'm like, okay, you could be making $400,000 a year if you just hire 2 more people.
Right. Exactly. Look, it's hard. Some people just can't let go. Yeah. They just can't let go, and it's unfortunate. Hopefully, some way, point along the line, they meet you, someone like you, who says, "Hey, yes, you can. It's better for your business. It's better for your life. It's better for your family." Yes. I think the more we work, the worse off. Right? Yep. First of all, we're risking our business, because if we're the guy that dies, the whole business collapsed because it was all relying on me. I have a terrible lifestyle. Right? I'm not healthy. I don't see my wife and kids as much as I want. I'm working 80 hours a week when I can be probably working 30. 4-hour work week, right? You can do that where you only work 4 hours. You get more done than you do in 80.
And the other thing is, like, if you start looking at it this way, is, to me, I started looking at it this way. The bigger that I grow my business, the more families I'm able to help. So when you start looking from a place of giving, that the more that you grow, the more families you're able to help, because the more jobs you're able to create. then the better it is for you, the better it is for your business.
Yeah, you're making money, you're helping society, you're helping people, you feel good about it, you got balance, you got faith, you got belief. I mean, it all comes together. I love the way you kind of do it all comes together for you. So Edwin, I guess you mentioned before, people should follow you on Instagram. We'll put all the links in the show notes. Instagram, LinkedIn, you have a website, right?
Yes.
Okay.
My Instagram, my LinkedIn, my Facebook, YouTube, whatever you name it, all the social media channels, Edwin Carrion 78. My website is Edwin Carrion. If you go into my website, I invite you to download my free book, 9 Secrets for a Successful Life and Business. It's free. Yeah, go in there, get it, and take advantage of it, because I know that's going to help you out a little bit.
Awesome. Well, Edwin, I can't thank you enough for spending an hour with me from Colombia. Is it Colombia? It's 11:30 there, or is it earlier?
11:30, yes, sir.
Okay, we're in the same time zone. All right, so let's definitely stay in touch and keep spreading the good word.
Thank you. Thank you, Mitch. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Have a blessed day. And remember, if you don't know where you're going, you will eventually get there.
Thank you for listening to this episode of The Accidental Entrepreneur. Opening and closing music written and performed by Howie Moscovich and made to order music. For information about Howie and his music services, please follow the link in our show notes. If you like the podcast, please tell others about us. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, on Amazon Music, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and most of the other podcast directories. If you like what you hear, please leave us a 5-star review and feel free to share our episodes on social media. If you have any questions or comments, ideas for the show, or you'd even like to appear as a guest, reach out to us by email at info@beinackerlaw.com.
The Accidental Entrepreneur is hosted by Mitch Beinacker and produced by Beinacker Law. If you'd like to learn more about our business and legal services, you can find us on social media or visit our website at beinackerlaw.com. Thanks for listening, and be sure to subscribe to our feed to be notified of all future episodes.